Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Flush Reports. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there, everybody. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host. Yes, it is the last day of May, which pushes us even closer to the start of the 2023 NFL season. I believe OTAs are just about over and training camp will be starting soon. So I'm in full NFL mode because, Sixers are done. So Jimmy Buckets and the New York Giants is the only thing on my mind.
Jimmy Buckets? Well, first of all, let me simply say to remind you to click the like buttons and the notification buttons and the bells and the whistles and all of that so you'll get the notifications when we put these out. Tonight we have the start of a special program that we started last season where we look at the, quote, brain trusts for each NFL team. Today we're going to do the Today we're going to do the AFC East, which is a popping division. It's
yeah. Right now, that's the division that most people are looking at. Last year, everybody was looking at the AFC West. This year, everybody's looking at the AFC East. Absolutely.
So we have, again, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the New York Jets that we're going to be looking at. And then we have just maybe a few last comments as we close up at our Facebook page at Ben and Barry on Football. So let's kick this thing off, Benny. Excellent. Ben and Barry on Football, NFL, Brain Trust, AFC East 2023. Boom, let's kick it off with the Buffalo Bills. So this is it, man. This is all of that intelligence, all of that experience, all of that in this group right here. We have Brandon Beane, general manager, head coach Sean McDermott, offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey, defensive coordinator Sean McDermott. They don't have one right now. He's the man. Special teams coordinator Matthew Smiley and quarterback Josh Allen. Now, just real quick, Brandon Beane, GM since 2017, 2020 NFL Executive of the Year, 2021 won that Jack Harrigan Award. He was with the Panthers for 19 years. So he's got a long history. And the Bills' net points for last year, 2022, they were plus 169. Sean McDermott was the Eagles' 1998 defensive quality control coach and assistant DB and linebacker coach. He was a protege of the late Jim Johnson. He's in the LaSalle College High School Hall of Fame, Benny, right up the street.
You know what? I knew he was from Philly, but I couldn't. His
brother Tim is the chief business officer for the Philadelphia Union.
Okay, the soccer team.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
Now, Ken Dorsey, 2019 the present as the offensive coordinator, 2021 passing game coordinator, quarterback coach. They say during his first season with Josh Allen, Allen tallied the biggest improvement in quarterback rating, a plus 17.4 of anyone in the NFL in that year. So he made a big move. Back in 2013 to 17, he was with the Panthers. He worked with Cam Newton. Cam Newton passed for 17,154 yards and 118 touchdowns. working with Ken Dorsey. Interesting connection there, isn't it?
They both were around for wait, did McDermott work with the Panthers too? Or you said that was Brandon Mead.
The Panthers,
Yeah.
Ken Dorsey, offensive
No,
coordinator.
I mean before that. Before
Before
he got
that,
to Dorsey.
Brandon Beane, the GM.
The GM, right. Okay, so the GM and the offensive coordinator both worked with the Panthers probably during some of their better years, and including the year that they went to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton. So we got a couple of really experienced guys here. McDermott's background started with the Eagles, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's
1998 defensive quality control with the Eagles. I also became a linebacker coach.
linebacker coach. I think he was a DB coach too. So that
Remember when Jim
qualifies him
Johnson
pretty.
was the defensive coordinator for the Eagles?
That is correct. So he came up under Jim Johnson, which is tremendous. Jim Johnson was well respected as a defensive coordinator. So yeah, that's big time crew you got there.
Well, we'll round it off with the special teams coordinator Matthew Smiley. 2005 to 12, he coached in college. 2013 and 2016, he was with the Jaguars, and 2017 to the present, he's with the Bills. So he's been around for a while. 2005, if you go back to the beginning of his coaching career. So that's a nice long coaching career, 2005 to 2023. And then we have Josh Allen, which I didn't really do, any narrative particularly. Josh Allen, how much do I need to say? Matter of fact, this is your AFC favorite team, right?
This is my favorite team to watch in the AFC. Yes, they have been.
Josh Allen, what would you say about him, especially relative to the brain trust?
Well, here's the great thing about this brain trust. They're all very experienced. They've all had success at the different levels where they've been, and none of them are old. Okay. And when I say old, I'm probably saying late 40s, 50-ish, 60-ish, because there's some pretty old coordinators in the NFL on certain teams. There's some older guys that are still around. None of these guys are old, but they all have a good deal of experience and they've all had a good deal of success. So Josh Allen is in really good hands. And his improvement over the years, I don't have stuff in front of me. I think this is his fifth or sixth year that he's going into. He has done nothing but get better and better and better. So the only thing that they can continue to do better is to continue to grow the team around Josh Allen, make sure that he's protected, and make sure they surround him with quality skill position players. Because there's some folks out there, I'm not one of them, who think that their Super Bowl window is getting very small.
Super Bowl window getting small, eh? How old is Josh? About
I hate to guess at stuff like that. He's mid to late 20s.
okay, okay, okay. All right. Well, the only thing I know they talked about him taking hits. You know, it's one of those
I
things.
don't think that's an issue.
You don't think that's an issue?
No.
All right. Well, I think his team thinks it's an issue, but all right. Relative to this as a rounded coaching group, you're absolutely right. A lot of experience for Josh to pull from in that group right there. Okay. The Miami Dolphins, or as I like to see, Niners East. But We're starting off with Chris Greer. Chris Greer, GM, right? From 2000 to present. He was an intern in 1994 with the Patriots. His father is Bobby Greer, former VP player personnel for the Patriots and senior personnel advisor for the Houston Texans. His brother is the GM for the San Jose Sharks and was actually the first Black NHL GM. Came in 2022. Mike McDaniel, 2017, 2021, San Francisco 49ers run game specialist, offensive coordinator in 2021, offensive assistant with the Atlanta Falcons. 2014 season as wide receiver coach for the Cleveland Browns. First NFL position coaching job came in 2013 with Washington. He was promoted to wide receivers coach. 2011 to 2012, he was an offensive assistant with Washington. He worked with Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. He was an offensive assistant with the Houston Texans, where he worked under Troy Calhoun, Mike Sherman, and Kyle Shanahan. He was a coaching intern going back to 2005 with the Denver Broncos. He played wideout at Yale and graduated with a degree in history. You got to love that guy, man. I'm telling you. I mean, and he's still relatively young to have so much history, so much, experience.
Yeah, he's been around, and he comes from the Shanahan tree, so that's a big deal as far as I'm concerned. Offensively, that's a big deal. He's worked on several teams. He's been an assistant on several different teams, and he's been a position coach. Everything's been an assistant or position coach on offense, and he's one of these young, quote unquote, geniuses offensively, like they tout Sean McVay. So evidently, you know who this guy reminds me of? In the NBA, he reminds me of Spoelstra.
Really?
Yeah, Spoelstra worked for the Miami Heat in the film room, cutting film. Okay, that's where he cut his teeth, and now he's one of the smartest, best NBA head coaches out there.
Okay.
I like Mike McDaniel the same way. He was only a position coach at a couple of different spots. Most of the time, he was an offensive assistant here, offensive assistant there. He's been groomed by head coaches on all these different teams that he's worked for. And now he's shown his genius, and he was rewarded with a head coaching job. I think that's great.
Now, this is an interesting scenario when you look at Chris Greer, who gets a lot of credit for this team that they brought around now. Tyreek Hill, he got, you know what I mean?
Lately, yes, because he just came on board.
Weapons, you know what I mean?
Well, he just came on board, so he's been impressive early on.
But your offensive coordinator is Frank Smith, which is about as regular a name as you could have. And if you weren't paying attention, it might go right by you. OC 2022. First NFL coaching job was with the Saints back in 2010 to 2014. He was a coaching assistant, offensive line. 2021, he was a run game coordinator, offensive line coach for the Chargers. 2018 to 20, he was a tight end coach for the Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. He was a Chicago Bears tight end coach back in 2015. So, again, this is a guy, a lot of experience that they're bringing here. I don't know, when I look at this team and I'm thinking offense, I'm thinking Mike McDaniel's running the offense. So that's my mind, but I don't really know like what his schematic concepts are, if he's running anything, or if he's just executing Mike McDaniel's plan. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. just see how that synergy is really happening there. Next up, we have, now you're talking about a long coaching history. Vic Fangio, 41-year coaching veteran, now coming to the Miami Dolphins. 33 seasons in the NFL. Chicago Bears, 49ers, Stanford, Texans, Colts, Panthers. Started out with the New Orleans Saints back in '86. He coached the fame. Remember this name, Ben? The Dome Patrol?
Saints.
Saints, yeah.
Sam Mills.
That was under Fangio.
Sam Mills,
yeah. The Dome Patrol. Head coach 2019 for the Broncos. And the Eagles had him in as a consultant in this past season. Which is funny because they have so much complaints about the defense, and they got rid of the coach. They let him go. But in any event, that is Vic Fangio coming in as a defensive coordinator. Now, that's a lot of experience there. And we'll finish it up with special teams coach Danny Crossman. 1990, he was with Washington. 1991, he was with Detroit at training camp. He has all league honors with the London Monarchs of the World League of American Football. He's like all world. He led the Monarchs to an inaugural World Bowl title in 1991 and was named MVP of the game after securing 3 interceptions.
When was that?
91 to 92.
Sheesh.
He joined the Dolphins as a special teams coordinator in 2019 and assistant head coach in 2021. Yes, 30 years coaching special teams, 20 seasons in the NFL. Carolina, Detroit, Buffalo, and Miami all included in that background. Interesting guy, man. Interesting guy, you know.
I guess.
And then the quarterback of the brain trust here, the man that executes it on the field, Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa.
There you go. Now, everybody's looking at my man in, what was it, the Panthers went first overall and a quarterback in the draft, Bryce Young.
Right.
And the first thing they're thinking, okay, how close is this guy to Tua? Because we've seen Tua get slammed around a little bit there. But Tua's been taking jiu-jitsu lessons and learning how to fall. And so we shall see how he makes it through the season. All of this brain trust there has to trust that he can get it done. Now, Ben, I didn't go to the second string quarterbacks, but I'll be quite honest with you. When we do the best job in the NFL, I'm going to be referring back to this because there's a lot of second string quarterbacks who are de facto coaches. Bringing them in now. So, you know, they almost should be part of the brain trust. But I'm going to hold that for the best job in the NFL. So that would be that part there. So any last words on this part? The Dolphins?
Well, from listening to what the information that you have given us about these guys, Chris Greer has an interesting, we always talk about bloodlines when it comes to players. Here we have a situation where we have bloodlines when it comes to organizational upstairs guys, you know, management type dudes. His father, his brother. So although Chris Greer hasn't been in charge as the GM for that long, in his short period being the quote unquote boss there, he's really done a nice job and getting this team where they need to be real contenders. Mike
Have him,
McDaniel.
they have him at 2016 when he became the GM, and it's 2023. So he's got a nice little piece under his belt.
He became the GM for the Dolphins in 2016.
That's what I have as a date. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's yeah, he's done a good job. But you got to remember, he also went through the whole Flores thing too.
Yeah, sure. That's a whole
You
nother.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of messy in those first few years. Really was.
I don't think he's been indicted or charged or sued for anything. So I think he's pretty
Oh,
much clean.
no, I don't mean in that respect. I mean in the actual team building respect.
No,
Miami's had a lot of challenges
yeah. Oh yeah.
on either side of the ball, but the last couple of years they've done really well with trades and drafts and things of that nature and picking up free agents. They've done really well lately. So I have to commend him on that. So I'm going to try not to indict him on the past years. McDaniel had a very interesting career up to this point, up to becoming the head coach. And so did his offensive coordinator. And I noticed when you were talking about some of their previous uh, uh, jobs, McDaniel had a lot of experience as a run game coordinator, wide receiver coach, and running back coach. And I think Frank Smith, most of his expertise went to offensive line and tight ends. I found that to be interesting. It's like the two of them together make a really good team, probably, when it comes to looking at the offensive side of the ball. Now, whether or not McDaniel calls the plays, I believe that he does, but that's okay because there's other teams out there that do the same thing. The offensive coordinator on a team like that, where the head coach rather calls the plays, is still very important when it comes to scheme and work that they put in during the week to come up with game plans and things like that. He's also the first guy the play caller is going to go to if he has a question or problem or wants to know what the heck is going on or what should I do. So they work hand in hand. Vic Fangio's been around forever. His head coaching stint wasn't very good, but he's very well respected as a DC. No doubt about that. And Tua, this is going to be a big year for Tua, coming off all the problems and the concussions from last year. I think this is the year that if they can keep him upright, we will really see this guy shine.
He has played well when they kept him upright.
Yes.
He has some pretty impressive statistics. All right, Benny, let's take a look at the NFL Brain Trust the New England Patriots have going for them. Interesting collection of characters there. Let's start off with GM Matt Groh. Now, based on my notes here, my information, GM since 2021, been with the Patriots since 2011. A Princeton grad, Benny, with a psychology and a law degree, and he led the Patriots with a plus 17 in net points for the team that he helped put together here. Now, we all know the next gentleman, he's considered a GOAT when it comes to coaches. Excuse me, that's Mr. Bill Belichick. Going all the way back to 1975 with the Baltimore Colts. I mean, he's been with the Lions. He's been with the Giants. He's been with the Browns as well as the Patriots. And he's done it all. How many Super Bowls is that for him? 7? 6?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something to that.
And that's if you don't count with the Giants when he was coordinator.
Right. Exactly. So we all know the name Bill Belichick. If you don't, you ought to spend some time. Next up, we have the OC. Now, this is a big move for the Patriots. Last year, they did not have a offensive minded or a offensive coordinator with an offensive
coordinator background. Their
Right.
backgrounds were defensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien, Patriots from 2007 to 2011. He was a head coach at Penn State. He was a head coach for the Houston Texans from 2014 to 2017. And so now he's back with the Patriots, and hopefully him and Mac Jones can get it together, and we'll see if they can compete in this tough division. The defensive coordinator is listed as Steve Belichick. He is the son of the head coach. His third season working with the linebackers, 4 seasons coaching in the secondary, and 4 years as a coaching assistant. So that's 3 4s, that's 12 years. And he played 4 years of lacrosse at Rutgers. And he walked onto the football team as a long snapper. Okay, so he's got a little bit of a moxie going on with there, Mr. Steve Belichick. And our special teams coordinator, Cameron Accord, 5th season overall with the Patriots, 3rd as a special team, and he served as a special assistant special teams coach from 2018 to 2019. So he's got a little bit of a background for special teams. And then we have Mac Jones. And that's been, again, Mac Rowe, Bill Belichick, and to a lesser degree, because he hasn't really been there, Bill O'Brien, is the brain trust that says Mac Jones is the one that can help them compete in the AFC East for a division, conference, and potentially a Super Bowl. What do you think about this particular group?
Well, for what you just said, as far as their confidence in Mac Jones, they drafted him. They drafted him high, and they're going to try to make it work. It was a bit of a debacle as far as the offensive coordinator position was concerned last year, where Belichick tried to surround himself with some coaches that he was familiar with, who had left the organization, gone to other organizations, and then he brought them back. Unfortunately, none of them actually had an offensive coordinator background or an offensive background. So, in fact, he brought back another old familiar face, which is Bill O'Brien, who I believe will be very good for Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones will do quite well under Bill O'Brien. Steve Belichick, again, coach's son, but he did enough work as an assistant and as a position coach to earn the job. Who better to learn the game from than Bill Belichick? Matt Groh, again, although he's been with the organization for a while, he's still relatively new as a GM, but he seems to be on the upswing as far as getting the team back together. They did have a fairly unsuccessful season last year, and I'm expecting them to be better this year. Unfortunately, everybody in the division got better. So I don't know where that's going to leave them at the end. If you ask me right now how I thought they would finish, I would say the Patriots will probably finish at the bottom of this division.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the general thought pattern there. If you're looking at quarterbacks, but we shall see. We shall see. All right, that's your brain trust for the New England Patriots. Last team in the division that we're looking at is the New York Jets, with GM Joe Douglas. GM Joe Douglas since 2019, GM, 3-time Super Bowl winner, once with the Eagles, 2 with the Baltimore Ravens. His background also includes Chicago Bears. And again, as I said, the Ravens, the 2022 net points was -20 for the New York Jets. Head coach is Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh came from my San Francisco 49ers. He was their defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2020. He also was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Seattle Seahawks, the Houston Texans. He was with Georgia, Central Michigan, Michigan State as well. So he's got a pretty long track record. He was a coaching intern in 2005. So this is what, 2023? So he's almost 20 years in. Mr. Saleh, head coach for the Jets. Nathaniel Hackett is coming up as the offensive coordinator. He has close ties, and we'll talk about that, to the quarterback. He was Tampa Bay offensive quality control back in 2006. He did that for Buffalo in 2008. And he was with the Green Bay Packers as an offensive coordinator in 2019 to 2021. And he did work with Saleh on the Jacksonville staff with Doug Marrone in 2015 and 16. So he's connected to Aaron. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll let you talk about that. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich had a 10-year playing career. Started his coaching career in Seattle in 2010. He was with the Jets. Again, this is 2021 to present as a defensive coordinator. He had time with the Falcons. And let's see, then he goes back to UCLA. So he spent some time coaching there. But yeah, he's got the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Jets all in his background. So he's got some interesting connections there. And then Brant Boyer joined the Jets after 4-year tenure in Indianapolis back in 2012 to 15, played linebacker, was a standout on special teams for the Dolphins, Jacksonville, and the Browns, and the Jets. So there you go, special teams coordinator. And then quarterback is one, Aaron Rodgers, who, if you're going to talk brain trust, you got to talk about Aaron and the brain that he brings to the New York Jets. Right now, if you were looking at the NFC East and you just ranked the quarterbacks, just the quarterbacks, what would you say, 1 through 4?
1 through 4. 1, I would go Josh Allen. 2, I would go Tua. 3, I would go Aaron Rodgers. 4, I would go Mac Jones.
You would put Tua ahead of Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, I would.
Holy mackerel. Have you been drinking, man?
Jeez. Yes. Yes, actually, I have.
All right, final words on the brain trust for the New York Jets.
Okay, Joe Douglas, a really solid resume as a GM. I like him. And lately, he has really turned the fortunes of the Jets around. First defensively, and now working on that offense. Robert Saleh, good head coach, solid guy, defensive background coming from the 49ers. So he hired himself a nice offensive coordinator, an experienced offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who didn't work out so well as a head coach with the Denver Broncos. Probably was a little bit out of his league as far as being the head coach is concerned. But the Broncos brought him in for 2 reasons. Number 1, because he's been a seasoned offensive coordinator. And number 2, because they were trying to attract Aaron Rodgers. That didn't work out. But this time for the Jets, it did work out. So these 2 guys will be working hand in hand. Jeff Ulbrich, again, an ex-player, ex-linebacker, should be a pretty good DC. He's been a position coach. Been around for a while. Brant Boyer, I noticed you said he was a standout special teams player. And then you mentioned at least 4 teams that he was a standout special teams player for. So who better to have as a special teams coordinator than a guy who made his career out of making teams as a standout special teams player?
Yeah, when you start to look at that length of that career doing that.
Yeah, there's no knock on that. This guy held down a career. This might be, well, no, I was getting ready to say something crazy. When you talk about, I was getting ready to say, this might, you know how we always talk about backup quarterback is the best job in the NFL?
Yeah.
I was going to say special teams might be the second best because you only got to go on the field maybe 4 or 5 times a game.
You know what I'm saying? Not a
But
bad idea.
this guy carved himself out a career being a special teams player. And of course, Aaron Rodgers, yeah, you asked me to put him in a spot with the other quarterbacks in the division. I put him where I put him because, let's face it, he's on the back nine. He's in the twilight of his career. He hasn't shown a lot of fall off, but I don't know. I don't know. Everybody else is young.
Yeah, yeah, he's got a young team around him. That's
got a young team around him, but Aaron Rodgers himself, no doubt he has all the knowledge in the world. No doubt his arm is still good. But, you know, sometimes when guys go to new teams, things don't always go the way they're playing. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
One interesting note about Joe Douglas, he was with the Eagles. He's the guy that brought in one Corey Clements.
Okay.
Yeah. As an undrafted free agent, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember reading that in his background there. All right, Benny, that was fun. It's interesting to see these guys' history, their pathway to where they are now as a GM, a head coach, OC, DC, or special teams coordinator. You know, these guys have been around for years and years and years, and they've finally been able to ascend to some of these positions. So congratulations to the New York Jets. That wraps up our Brain Trust segment for the AFC East for 2023. So, Benny, as we wrap up this show, tomorrow we kick off the NBA championship series between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. And as I can finally say, let's heat those Nuggets up. Let's heat them up. I'm rooting for the Heat. I think they're going to be up against the Nuggets there. The logic says Nuggets. Rooting interest says Jimmy Buckets, former Bull. Always root for my former team players. And Kyle Lowry went to my high school, Cardinal Doherty High School. Even though I must admit, there was one point where I was like, y'all got to get Kyle Lowry off the floor because he wasn't helping at all. But that last game, he actually didn't play as bad. He played a little bit better. He came in and he was productive, and he didn't turn the ball over too much. So,
yeah, you know, Kyle Lowry's got a couple of years under his belt now. And I'll tell you the truth, he doesn't look like he's in the best shape.
Well, I think he's somewhat injured, too. He's got
that doesn't help. That doesn't help, but he looks like he's carrying a little bit of extra weight, you know? So that's not good, especially if the team is still dependent on you, you know? But he's not terrible. He did do his part. I think that the Heat have a decent chance. Most people will probably say they have a small chance of winning this series. I think they have a decent chance of winning this series simply because they run a very diversified offense and they have a coach who can scheme up some defenses that can probably give the Nuggets some trouble. Because they have a lot of shooters, they can hang in there with anybody. And they're very aggressive on the offensive end and very aggressive on the defensive end. So they're going to give guys like Jamal Murray and Porter Jr. some trouble defensively. I don't know what they're going to do with the Joker. I'm assuming that they're going to work up some schemes defensively as far as zone defenses are concerned, because I'm afraid that if they put Bam on him exclusively, Bam's going to end up fouling out. You know? So he's going to play him some of the time, and some of the time they're going to zone him up, see what they can do with him. I like Miami. for several reasons. Number one, I like Jimmy Buckets. Number two, Tyler Heroes should be coming back. If not for the first game, maybe the second or third game. Number three, they beat Boston, so I gotta love them for that. And number four, all these clowns that are out here saying Jokic should have been the MVP over Embiid, just simply because the Sixers got eliminated. If the Sixers were moving on, people would be like, "Oh, he's been getting it done. He can beat the Joker every time we play Denver, and Embiid beat him. Embiid was better than him. Embiid's the MVP." As soon as the Sixers get eliminated, he should have never been MVP. The Joker's the guy. Come on, hypocrites. Hypocrites.
Somehow we got back to the Sixers out of this.
Yeah, I'm still a little hurt. I'm still a little hurt, man.
All right. So you're rooting for the Heat. That's the bottom line.
Yes, sir.
But your money is going for the
money. No, I wouldn't put money on this.
If you had to put money on it, who'd it be?
If I had to put money on it, I'm going Heat.
Heat? Oh my goodness! Look at him, and he give me a look like, yeah.
I'm going Heat. Hey, look, everybody said history was going to be made. It still might be.
All right, that's a what?
No eight seed
versus
no
a 1 seed, right?
No 8 seed has ever won a championship.
Okay, all right. Well, let's heat those Nuggets up.
Right.
All right. Remember Ben and Barry on football, www.benandbarry.com. Remember to hit the notification bell and the like button and all the other stuff, and make sure that you get back here, because next week, what are we going to do, Benny?
The NFC East.
NFC East.
Yeah.
There
Giants, baby.
There you go. All right. Peace out.